Hey guys, my name is Stephanie Saey. I'm an M1 at Carver College of Medicine. I'm here today to talk to you about the heart as part of the STEM Goes Red event. I just wanted to say that I'm sad this couldn't be done in person. It would have been nice to teach you guys some physical exam skills and such, but hopefully I'll see you next year and that you learned something from this video still. So I apologize in advance because I'm not really tech savvy, but I did just print out some pictures of the heart, and I just wanted to talk through some of the structures as well as the blood flow through the heart. And so you can pause and take notes if you want, or just watch this video throughout. I'll just be talking about some of the important anatomical things to understand about the heart as well as the blood flow, like I said. So without further ado, here we go, and thank you for watching. So here I just printed out an overview of what the heart looks like. Obviously in the chest wall it will look different than this, but I think this is a pretty good depiction. So first we should mention that the heart chambers are four. There are four of them. And the chambers are hollow cavities within the heart for containing blood. So there are a total of 2 chambers near the base of the heart, which are known as the right atrium and the left atrium. And then there's 2 chambers near the apex of the heart called the right ventricle and the left ventricle. So the right atrium receives deoxygenated blood from the body through either the superior vena cava or the inferior vena cava. So vena means veins, and veins are what bring deoxygenated blood back to the heart from the tissues. Arteries, on the other hand, are what carry oxygenated blood back to the tissues. So these 2 are really important because your tissues, muscle, other organs of your body are constantly working and using oxygen to perform the daily tasks that they need to do. So this means there needs to be a constant circulation of blood that is oxygen depleted coming back to the heart. And then it needs to go to the lungs, pick up some more oxygen, and go back out to these tissues so that they can continue to do the things that they need to do. So this obviously overall is just the main function of the heart, right? To supply oxygen to every part of your body. So like I said, the tissues are using a lot of oxygen, and then this blood is coming back through veins to the heart. So when the veins come back to the heart, they either enter through the inferior vena cava or the superior vena cava, and then they're going to end up in the right atrium. From the right atrium, the blood is going to enter the right ventricle through this little valve that's called the tricuspid valve. So on the next picture, I will talk a little bit more in detail about these valves. But anyway, so the blood is going to be entering the right ventricle. And the right ventricle is then going to pump the blood to the lungs through another valve that's located about right here called the pulmonic valve. Through there, it's going to travel through the pulmonary arteries all the way out to the lungs. So then in the lungs, the blood is going to get oxygenated. It's going to pick up all those oxygen molecules and come back through the left atrium, through the pulmonary veins. The left atrium is going to send then blood through the mitral valve to the left ventricle. And then the left ventricle is going to send blood through yet another valve called the aortic valve, all the way through the aorta to the rest of the body. So now that the body can have oxygenated blood. So I'm sorry that was a little confusing without the pictures of the valves, but I'll show you those on the next page. So basically, if you're just thinking about the chambers of the heart, it's right atrium to right ventricle, to the lungs, lungs to left atrium, to left ventricle, to the body. But we'll learn a little bit more detail about how this works. So in order to do that, let's talk a little bit more about the valves that I was mentioning. And here you can see we've just kind of sliced, here's that picture of the heart again. We just kind of sliced it so that you can see the inside where these valves are. And these valves are what are connecting the atria to the ventricles, and then the ventricles to the veins and arteries that are going out towards, or the arteries that are going out towards the lungs or towards the body. So there are two heart valves that are located between the atria and the ventricles, and these are called atrioventricular valves. So that's kind of easy to remember because they're between the atria and the ventricles, and so atrioventricular. This includes the tricuspid valve, which is between the right atrium and the right ventricle, as well as the mitral valve, which is between the left ventricle and the left atrium. And so we also have two heart valves located at the exiting arteries. These are called the semilunar valves. So a little bit more difficult of a name to remember than the first one. But so they're called semilunar, and they include the pulmonary valve, which is between the right ventricle and the pulmonary arteries, as well as the aortic valve, which is between the left ventricle and the aorta. So these valves are very important for preventing backflow. So the atrioventricular valves, like the tricuspid valve, prevent backflow into the atrium, for example. Something else important to note is that these valves make the characteristic lub-dub sound that you hear when you listen to your heart. So lub is the closing of the tricuspid and the mitral valve, which are the AV valves. And then dub would be the closing of those two semilunar valves, the aortic and the pulmonary. So now that you have a little bit of an understanding of the way the blood flows through the heart, I just wanted to give you this picture because I think it is a really good kind of overview of everything that's happening at once with the circulation of the blood through the heart. Because there are two circuits that we like to think about, right? So remember I said that the right heart is going to be responsible for bringing deoxygenated blood back from the tissues. And then it's going to enter the right atrium, right ventricle. It's going to go out and pick up oxygen in the lungs. So that would be like the pulmonary circuit. And, from there, I said that the lungs are coming, or the oxygenated blood now is coming back through the pulmonary veins to the left atrium. And then once we get into the left ventricle, then we're now calling this systemic circulation because this is now responsible, the left ventricle is responsible for sending all of that oxygenated blood back out to the tissues, right? So we're thinking right ventricle, it's got all of this deoxygenated blood, pushing it all out to the lungs. Now we've picked up this oxygenated blood, and the left ventricle is going to be sending that out back towards the rest of the body. So this is one of the reasons that the left ventricle is actually a little bit bigger than the right. It's more muscular than the right because the right, as we can see, is responsible for contracting and then pushing all of that blood just towards the lungs, which is important. But the left ventricle is actually a lot bigger because when it pumps, it needs to pump against systemic circulation or systemic vascular resistance to be able to send all of that blood out towards your tissues. So that's something that you also commonly see in a gross depiction of the heart, is that the left ventricle is bigger. So that's all I have for you today. Hopefully you learned something with that. And I wish you guys a wonderful time in quarantine and to take care of yourselves and have a great day.